Ronald Reagan once said, "We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone." For my senior project, I knew that I couldn't help every child in the foster care system who was scared, but I could help some of them. My name is Brittney W, and my senior project was Warm Nights, Bright Futures. For my senior project, I collected donations of stuffed animals and fleece, in which I made tie blankets to give to children in the foster care system. In 2005, my brother, who was 2, and my sister, who was 4, were sleeping at a house with my birth mom, when they were awakened suddenly with loud noises and taken from the home. They were brought into a stranger's home with nothing except the clothes they were wearing. It's a very scary time for them and for our family. This story is not different from many others who enter the foster care system. No matter what their problems are, being separated from your family can be very scary. My little sister Courtney still remembers how scared she was. She also remembers a blanket that my grandma made her. It was pink and said Princess on it. They also received a stuffed animal from the social worker who told them that it needed to be taken care of. They named him Blueberry. They still have Blueberry in their blankets today. Having something that made them happy and feel special gave them good memories when few of the good memories were being made. When I started, I knew I needed help from somebody who felt the same way as I did, so I chose Janice Schnellman as my advisor. She's a close family friend. She has a very caring and selfless personality. She's very detail-oriented and volunteers around the community. She has many great ideas, and she was very helpful throughout the process. When I started my senior project, I did not plan on making flyers. Initially, I was going to organize a fundraiser, but when all my fundraiser ideas kept getting turned down, I realized that I could not do without being a licensed nonprofit. So I decided to make flyers. I went through multiple rough drafts before my final draft on my third. When I realized that flyers would not be enough, I used email and Facebook in addition. By doing this, I got many positive responses right away. I also made my own donation boxes and set them up around Spectrum. After all my forms of advertising, my box filled up faster than I thought it would. Many people also dropped off cash and check donations, in which I bought fleece with. After collecting donations and buying fleece with the money donations, I started. At first, I didn't expect too many obstacles, but I was wrong. After the first blanket, I realized I didn't know how to make them, so I learned on YouTube. Then I didn't realize how time-consuming each blanket would be. Each blanket took a little over an hour by myself, but fortunately I had many volunteers to help. With all the help from volunteers and 29 hours of measuring, cutting, and tying each blanket, I made 35 blankets. With materials costing about $13 each blanket, I averaged out $455. I also collected 50 stuffed animals and put 1 or 2 in each blanket, depending on the size. I feel like I could have made more blankets and if I started collecting at an earlier time and used my time better. It had been more an effective solution than relying on a fundraiser when it kept getting turned down. By my forms of advertising, I learned how important effective communication is, especially through email and in person. This taught me professional communication skills than before my senior project. Advertising was key for collecting donations. I would change when I started collecting donations to an earlier time, which leads me to planning. I would have planned everything out and had a backup plan. I spent too much time on a fundraiser that never worked and had to quickly throw together an idea of how to collect donations in a short period of time. I believe I met the service criteria by collecting fleece and stuffed animals to give to the Forgotten Initiative charity. I believe I met the personal growth criteria by learning how to communicate effectively through email and in person, and planned a Saturday afternoon with volunteers in which we made many blankets, although I did not organize a fundraiser. I believe I met the academic criteria by learning how to make blankets and about the foster care system through my research paper. Communication skills will be very handy in my future. Through my senior project, I learned how important effective communication is. This will benefit my future career, in which I plan to become a paramedic, in which I'll need to communicate with many people, including my partner and families of patients. My paper talked about why the foster care system should be overhauled. I think the foster care system needs stricter guidelines. It's not always a safe place for kids to be, and many kids are aging out each year without finding a permanent family. I was so grateful I chose this charity to donate to. So was this charity. They took this picture of me and my donations and put it on their Facebook page. They told me stories of their foster children, and they listened to mine. They were very appreciative of the blankets. They said they were very special and meaningful to them, and they were an extra item. Many times, foster children come into strange homes with nothing. I wanted to give them something to keep and to remember, to think about the blanket and the animal they received, to hope it makes them smile, to include a stuffed animal, to give them something to cuddle and to love, especially at night when they're feeling lonely. It's only a small gesture, but I hope it gives them hope. Hope that things get better, that people care, and that they have a warm night and a bright future.
You did a great job. Now you can relax. You know, it's interesting. In your future career, or if you're trying to convey, my father always said, selling is just telling a story. You know, and be it a presentation, you're just telling a story. And one of the things I want you to remember is that you have an amazing story that you have just presented. So, I know that you wanted to get it over with and get it done, but don't forget the power of just telling the story. I think this is an amazing initiative, what you've done, and really powerful, and I'm extremely moved by it and how it relates to you personally. One of the things I noticed in your presentation was about your fundraiser. You were really hard on yourself that you spent too much time on a fundraiser that never happened. But look what you did. You pivoted and changed directions, and you made it happen. That's an amazing lesson, because the best laid plans rarely work out.
Yeah.
And yours did. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Where did you get the stuffed animals donated from?
People someone dropped them off one day in my box, and there was 50 of them.
Tell me about, you said about the foster system needing to be overhauled. Tell us why.
Well, I feel like many kids in the foster care system are like sexually abused and stuff, and I feel like if there were stricter guidelines, then that wouldn't happen as much. Like for foster parents, if they were checked more often, then not as many kids would get hurt. So
Did you and Bren wind up in the foster care system too, or did you go right over to?
I went through the process, but I never went to a foster home.
Okay.
Yeah, only my youngest brother and sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
me and
did-
Brenna went straight over.
Did you go with Leslie and Wayne? You went right with them right
Yeah.
away?
Mhm.
Well, how come Court and Cody had to wait?
Because they were little. Like, I was staying with my grandparents at the time, and my sister was at a camp, and so when the cops came and raided our house, my only little 2 and 4-year-old sister and brother were only there.
Okay.
So they were the only ones taken, and they were the only ones gone. So we were separated for a while, but then they adopted all of us.
How long had this been going on before they finally stepped in and went, all right, this is enough now to take the kids off?
Well, I was 8, so it was maybe 5 or 6 years. But they were, yeah.
Well, you are to be commended.
You know how you mentioned that you like to be a paramedic?
Mhm.
I could see you taking this into that.
Mhm.
I personal experience, when we had to have an experience with a paramedic, they gave my daughter a little teddy bear, just something to hold on to make her less scared and
Yeah.
less nervous. And this would be a great thing that you could continue doing in your future.
Yeah, I plan on continuing it.
What's your plans to become a paramedic? Are you gonna go to college, or
Yeah, I plan to start my EMT during the summer, and then I'll go to 2 years of schooling to be a paramedic.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a runner. She's going to go and run for schools. At Nyack, right? You going to Nyack?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Well, good job.
Good
Yeah.
job. Wonderful.
Very good.